For my 2 lessons that I did in class, I used my citizen science project and also my formative assessment projects. These lessons are repeatable, tentative, and also a human endeavor. I first gave my students a probe that anyone and everyone should take. This was to find out what they already knew about plants, so that way I can compare it to what they have learned afterwards in the lesson. That way, this lesson is tentative and repeatable. We've learned a little bit about plants this year, so I wanted to have them explore the plants that they've already made, so that way they can find the parts that the plant needs to survive. My second lesson, I used my citizen science project, and I used the app Birdies. We looked at the shape, size, color, the types of birds that we saw outside, their attributes, their colors, and their sizes to determine what types of birds we had outside of our school. Unfortunately, we did not see any birds outside. I did have a chart that we could collect the data from. Florence was there, but we did not see any birds outside. So I had to teach a lesson that sometimes data is not found whenever we are trying to look for it. I also had to make sure that all of my lessons were age appropriate for my pre-operational first grade students. We read 2 Blue Jays for my citizen science project, watched the video Sid the Seed, and also the needs of a plant for my formative assessment projects. I wanted to use enough imagery so that the students could use the mental image to relate it to the experiences that we had in class. For my assessment, I used Popstick questioning in both of my lessons. I also used chain notes in my first formative assessment project. I wanted to make sure that the students could use one piece of paper and pass it around in the group so that everybody could collaborate together so they could have their answers. We also used card sorts in both lessons so that way each student could sort the pictures into groups and then explain why they did so. I also made all of the data into charts so I could compare what happened in the probe and then also after the lesson in the same probe. I also used the fact I used to think but now I know and also look back in my formative assessment project.
These are kind of small too because it's kind of, so I think they're like teenagers and I think these are kind of like a grown up or kind of like 20, and I think these are the kinds of babies.
Okay, that's a great explanation.
6 grown ups and
3 teenagers?
yeah, and 2 babies.
And 2 babies.
How long these 2 have? Sit down.
I used Data Match in my formative assessment project, but I didn't really actually get to use it because none of the kids actually got data outside because there was no birds. We also used explanation analysis, think, pair, share, and look back.
All of these have short beaks. These 2 are big groups, and these 2 have long. Actually, then this one has long groups.
Okay. I think both students and my cooperating teacher liked my citizen science project. All the students were really excited about going outside, but it really was kind of upsetting that there was no data to collect outside. We heard the birds, but we couldn't see them. I know all the students really loved the books that I read to them because anytime that we read books or play books, they go crazy. Also, I think my teacher really liked the lesson. She thought that all of them were really cute, and I think that she liked to see that they were cooperating really good in groups because they don't get to do group work very often. I really liked my citizen science project. I think it would have went better if there was data to collect outside. However, I think the students realized that sometimes there is not data to collect. Sometimes whenever you're using the weather application, there's no rain happening, and you can collect that in the MPing app. So we can also collect that there was no birds outside whenever we went. I do think that my formative assessment project could have gone a little bit better, just because that the plants were in little bitty cups whenever the students planted them in there, so it was kind of hard for them to dig them out. If I was to do my formative assessment project again, I might have the students dump out the plants on their desk, but still leave them intact so they can take them back home whenever they put them back in the cup.